I have taken 11 trades in Trust and Refinement since we last spoke using Trendline, and I have much loose trades than winning trades. However, I have more profits financially than losses. So in this video, we're going to be looking at each and every one trade and seeing what may have worked and what may have stopped us from working and the current status of the account balance. Ever since my last video regarding trendline trading, I have taken a total of 11 trades on the refined side of my trendline trading. A lot more of them have ended up in losses, but however, financially, I'm up in profit. So in this video, we're going to be looking at each and every one of those trades and how they led to where they finally went to. Also, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to say hit the subscribe button because you're going to like this journey. I'm here for you guys to see what Forex really looks like for any individual who wants to get into it. And not just Forex, trading as a whole, because it's the same strategy that applies to all the books. Let's head right into it. So right off the bat, you can see here ongoing losses and profit trades. I have separated them into their different stands. But right off the bat, something you would notice is none of my trades are shorts anymore, except this very one here. And it was a quick hit of loss. And I kind of love trades like this. They just start up and quickly take you to where you are supposed to go. You're either winning it or losing it straight up. No time for BS. So let's look at these trades, and I'm going to ungroup them first so we can look at them in the right order. So this is the trades in the order in which they were all filled in, and it's going to be a bumpy ride, so get ready. AUD US dollar. Remember this guy? This guy nearly broke our heart the last time. In fact, it broke our heart the last time. Every single trade was a fail. But let's look at it right now and see what it looks like really. So first move, right? We took a buy trade, which went very much well in profit. Very much. Finally for once. However, that trade quickly ran down against us. So there was a mistake I made in this trade, and I remember this trade very well. I ought to have redrawn a new safety line, because if I had drawn a new safety line, I would still end up in a little bit of profit. Very small, but at least I won't be in losses, right? But that was something I learned newly for the first time, and I would be applying it going forward. So applying a new safety line. It was something I used to do in the formal trade. I said I would stop doing it, but I come to realize I wasn't even doing it properly in the first place. So over time, you're going to see how that is going to look like. So this trade was entered on 27th, 6 of 55, that's 6:55 p.m. and was exited on 31st. That is about 3 days. It's 5 hours of holding until stop loss was hit. Not really stop loss until I exited the trade. All right, moving on, I entered a New Zealand US dollar trade. I entered this trade on the 28th, and well, I got out on the same day. Guess what? I ended up with a negative $4.7, which is $4.70 loss. It was 14 hours long. Wow, that's quite long, almost a day. So this is the trade right here. We walked into this trade because the downwards or descending line was broken. But something I got to learn quickly. I did a very huge mistake in this trade. I made a very big mistake. So the big mistake is this. This line you see right here that's coming down was supposed to cut from here. And if you notice, if you look at it, it's going to cut through here and come here. This is where you ought to enter a buy trade. And then obviously you'll be in profit, right? But it was too gradual. I came into this trade absolutely wrongly. Looking at it now, I can, in hindsight, right? I can clearly see the error I made around here. Totally faulty on my own part. Matter of fact, I should have entered this trade when this candle closed below, right? And then I would be shorting this market. New Zealand US dollar trade. Ended up in terrible losses. Terrible loss. Very terrible loss. Okay, so I think I have another New Zealand US dollar trade. So yeah, that one ended up in profit. Okay, it's still ongoing. I'll get to that trade soon. Let's head into the next trade, the US dollar Japanese yen. So I entered this trade on 28th. You can see I have multiple trades on the 28th. This is because I trade the major pair, and the US dollar tends to move in a certain direction against every other currency. Hence, you may enter trades on so many US dollar pairs at once if you're trading only the majors, higher time frame, just trend lines. If you're trading on the day trade, you know, the 5-15 minutes, 1 hour ish, you won't be taking all of this. Matter of fact, you'll be taking trades in maybe 1 or 2 currency pair constantly. So US dollar, Japanese yen, I got hit by stop loss again. I lost $7.35 on this trade. It was 38 hours long and 41 minutes. So let's see. This trade had a very nice entry. As a matter of fact, I kind of loved this trade. This was a good trade in my opinion. Even though I ended up in loss, it was a good trade. I ended up in loss because I didn't draw a proper safety line also. But nevertheless, I ended up in loss. And that was it. So you can see where I left the trade. I even left the trade just before. Oh, I left the trade after the loss was hit. Yeah, after the loss was hit. This was where I left the trade, not here. And all in all, it was good. All in all, it was good. So moving on, we have another trade. Now you've seen 4 losses in a row. 4 losses in a row. Man, I don't think this is nice for anybody who wants to get into it mentally. You have to be ready for all of this. But 4 losses in a row, and then we entered the US dollar Swiss franc. This is a loss. This is what made it 4 losses in a row. So this trade was entered on 28th and was exited on 29th. That is about 2 days. So that's 26 hours. Not up to 2 days. I ended up in the morning. So about 24 hours, 26 hours with an $8 loss. Now, mind you, I'm risking $10 on every single trade. $10 max. So $8 is me losing 89 point something percent of the risk amount. And you can see it right here. Voila, I entered the trade. This was the downward trend line. The upward trend line was broken. Not really broken, but price gapped between it. I took a trade, sold. It came into profit for a while. If I went into losses, you know, drastic loss, then came back into profit, then went back to finally kick me out of the trade. Like, hey, get out. So, new lessons learned, right? Then we have the British pound US dollar. This is on 28 again. Now, this trade went all the way till 4th. This is 154 hours, 13 minutes. That is long. But I held on for a long time, and this was the first ever beautiful profit. I only recorded the daily entry. Well, that's bad. So on the daily entry, I had price broke below this uptrend line. You can see I had 3 touch points. 1 touch point, 2 touch point, then price touched it again, finally broke through. The exit trade, you can see the exit here. Price exited, bust below, and I took a sell. You can see where I left the trade. I should have waited just 1 more 4-hour candle left. I would have been in. I would have had $20. That's nice, but I still ended up in profit. So this is the US dollar Canadian dollar. Started on 28th, closed on 30th with 41 hours of holding time. I lost $4.32 in this trade. And let's see the imagery, US dollar CAD. It was a short trade when price broke below the 4-hour line. Man, that was an aggressive break below anyway. And I wish that had worked. Like, I really wish that had worked. But price immediately did an Uno reverse on my ass and poof! Cut me off! And after that, I went for Euro US dollar on the 29th. That is a day after that. That was when I went again for the Euro US dollar. So I had not gone for the Euro US dollar until 29th. It was a day after. And then on this trade, well, let's say the trade was really wedged. It was tight at that point in time. Price broke below here. I entered the trade. Price nearly took me out at first. Nearly took me out. But guess what? What's happening here? Oh, price took me out immediately. Sorry. That was an immediate takeout. Oh, it was 6 hours long. So just 2 candles later and I was out of the trade. So this particular candle you see up here with the long wick kind of took me out of the trade. So I just went out. I walked away quickly with a damning injury. Now we have the US dollar Swiss franc. This is a second trade on the US dollar Swiss franc. 29th on the same day, about 3 hours later, all the way till 3rd of November. It was a 1% risk as usual. And I ended up making $21.87 using $10 of risk. The time this trade took was 121 hours 16 minutes, and here it is. The entry was divine. Matter of fact, from the entry it was like, this is gonna work, this is gonna work. Oh, not the one down here, this was the loss I took that I had explained. So this is the profit. I took a trade just as soon as I got stopped out the first time, and I just watched the market see if it was keeping himself above. It kept itself above, so I entered the trade. When I entered the trade, this is the daily view of the chart when that happened, and I said, okay, let's just take a trade and see where it goes. Turns out, best decision ever. Price went and poof, I ended up in massive profit. $21. That's a lot. $10 in risk. Then I had another euro US dollar trade. I shorted the market again. I had done the short the first time, I did it again. And this trade was on 29th, the same 29th. I entered the first one in the morning, entered the second one in the evening, and this stayed all the way till November 4th. You can see the very first one stopped immediately, just after 4 hours at 4 p.m. This one, I entered it at 8 p.m. and then it's lasted even longer for 138 hours, 43 minutes, giving me a $19.94 profit. So let's look at the trade. The entry here is, well, price break below the uptrend. Wow, I can see a pattern here already. I'm going to tell you guys what that pattern is at the end of the video. So if you already see the pattern, you can leave a comment below. Just pause the video, go down and tell me the pattern you've noticed with the winning trades, right? What you've noticed. And when I entered that trade, it first toyed with my heart. You see, I entered, it first went against me. Then it speedily went for me, holding back a little bit, holding back a little bit, holding back a little bit until ended up in profit again. Nice. I'm loving the way I ended up in profit recently. And then the last trade I took was the US dollar Japanese yen. That trade, ooh, I do not like it. Well, however, let's see what it looks like. 30th of October, I entered this trade all the way to November 4th, which is today, however. And I ended up with a $1.46 loss after holding for 120 hours. Jeez, I held quite long. For a guy who's learning this, I'm holding quite long. But I'm learning how to hold even longer. So you can see the trade right here, entered the market because of the huge candle push up. Price went through, went up again, danced, and all of that happened. However, what happened was this: price danced for so long and came back down below my safety. So I decided to walk out of this trade. Go in peace, not in pieces. And I lost just $1 in this trade. So I have one ongoing trade. This is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, and I'm shorting this market, hoping to capitalize for some sweet profit if it works, right? I've been in this trade since the 31st of October till today, still in the trade. And what has been happening? Well, see this market, this is the entry. Price broke below. I waited for price to do its dance, its retracement, a little bit of retracement. And when it got back to the exact place where the candle broke below, I entered it. And I have been in this trade for quite some time. Trade is still running. So let's see what this trade looks like on the map, on the chart. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Well, it is going in some good profit. You can see this is where I entered. Price has been moving in my favor. I really hope it continues. And you can see it all here. It's consolidated for quite some time, but finally it is moving in a direction I love. So all in all, I'll say I found a strategy that I am going to stick with. Not because I am in profit or anything, but because of the ease it brings. I'm just following market trends, and I am far more less stressed trying to figure out if this candle is the good one or it's the bad one. Just break. That's all I care about. Just break any of my lines. Just break the line first. Secondly is the criteria for the line. So like I asked the question before, did you notice something about the winning trades? So what I want us to do now is look at all the losing trades and see if we can notice a pattern, and all the winning trades and see if we can also notice a pattern, maybe something that constantly reoccurs in all of them. So with all of that, you guys have seen everything I have taken in the market recently ever since I started trading trend lines in Trust and Refinement. I have done the first 50 reps, and now it's no longer reps, now it's more of refinement, which is why I gave it the name Trust and Refinement. I'm trying to refine the strategy to then understand, okay, this is the path that usually works the most, that is trying to get an A setup, B setup, D setup. But over every research I have done, the most common setup I have heard to be an A setup is when you have 3 touch points and price breaks that trend line. So 3 or more touch points, right? So I'm going with that knowledge and I'm trying to utilize it. I'm looking for markets where I have more than 2 touch points most times. But if I get to touch point, I still go with it just to see what it looks like. So with this, I'd like to say thank you all for watching. See you all in the next video. Or you could go up here and look at the videos that teach you how to use the economic calendar as a sentiment tracker for the entire market. The playlist is up here. I have a shortened one and a long one, whichever one you prefer. It's your choice. See you all. Peace.